Hello and welcome to AI Summit London. My name is Max Smolaks, editor at AI Business, and it's my pleasure to welcome Yichuan Zhang, CEO of Boltzbit. Hello, and yes, so you are the CEO of a very young company you started last year. What was the origin story behind Boltzbit?
Actually, the origin of Boltzbit is start with my research, my work at the University of Cambridge as a postdoc. For more than 10 years, I've been working on statistical inference in AI, which is basically kind of like a data-driven reasoning, algorithmic development in AI research. It is not that well known in industrial and research fields like 5 years ago, but now actually a lot of people aware of it and a lot of application of it. And during my postdoc, I developed some very nice algorithms that can scale up like a very challenging inference problem on GPUs, so that it can really make a lot of interesting applications. And I start having this idea, how about I just commercialize it? And yeah, it is how I start.
And that's how businesses are made, absolutely. Yeah. So what is Boltzbit Neuron?
Boltzbit Neuron is actually, we need to talk about what is the name of Boltzbit from, actually. Boltzbit name, it is from very well-known, actually very ancient neural network that is called the Boltzmann machines. It's actually developed by, discovered by Geoffrey Hinton back to 1980s. So he was the first one to introduce Boltzmann machine from physics to cognitive science to develop this kind of inference, data-driven inference algorithms there. So my research and our core technology basically is built up the same foundation of this neural network plus statistical inference. So we thought about, okay, then we just name our company as Boltzmann machines. So the Boltzbit, this bit part is actually referred to neurons. It's like neurons, it's like the computer's bits in the AI sense. So Boltzbit means this kind of new Boltzmann machine inspired neurons that can do statistical inference itself. So Boltzmann neurons is basically our development, our name for such a computational scalable, this kind of inference-friendly neural network, neurons.
Okay, and you use these kind of neural networks to build generative models, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
What are some of the most exciting applications for generative models? Because I know you talk a lot about AI creativity, and it's a very interesting subject.
Yes, actually, it's like a generative AI or creative AI is a rising trend now, because now actually for any tasks, image, classification, labeling, you have a ton of options to collect the big amount of data and train a neural network to solve it. But when you solve those kind of problems, you start to ask more, right? You start to ask more. How about the label is not just one label, maybe two labels, or maybe my input is not completely visible. Something is missing that is very normal, right, for our everyday life. So when you have such problem, then actually you slowly move into this generative AI domain. So the idea of generative AI is you don't treat data as separate roles in your AI. Some is input, some is output. Actually, everything can be both input and output. So basically, you be able to generate data just like a human. Yeah. So that is the idea of generative AI. What it really means. In terms of applications, we have developed a couple of solution demos. Mm-hmm. So some of them like this kind of AI for a smart oven. So you can use our AI to detect what is this kind of food cooking progress. What this level is being cooked. This sounds like a simple problem, and you can just classify it, but actually it is not, because different food have different texture, and the light condition can be changed because of the baking trays or the light in the room. So you need to actually deal with a lot of uncertainties, and also the camera's resolution sometimes is not good. So you have to be able to let AI to fill up the missing pixels in the cameras to be able to really achieve good classification performance. So can be one example. So if you want AI just not taking a data and then solving this kind of data labeling task, but you need to solve a couple of other problems on the way to really be able to achieve good performance. The other example is we do a lot of financial data analysis. In such case, actually, there are a lot of prediction tasks you don't even know beforehand. You just get the data, and you have to look at what's wrong with it, and then maybe predict this, and then predict that. So it's a lot of manual work involved. And this is also a typical example for generative AI. So basically, you don't need to define what you want to predict. You just give the data to the AI, generate it for me. Yeah.
Well, it sounds great. It sounds very, very interesting.
Yes.
And your first product, as far as I know, is right now is going beta testing, right?
Yes, actually, we developed an AI platform that is to be able to automate this generative AI process. So people, and even not data scientists, can use our platform to develop some simple solutions. Like what I just mentioned, this generative AI basically it's much simpler actually than task-driven AI, because task-driven AI, you cannot just use data. You have to get the data and someone label for you. But generative AI, you just have data, throw it to it, and then later if you have some question you want this AI to solve, the AI can figure it itself. So we found a lot of potential interest in such a platform because people really want to use their data.
Yeah. No, but like the way you describe it, it sounds almost like magic.
Yeah, it's actually nothing really magic. Behind the thing is hardcore science and research. Basically, our AI just try to do some very complicated stats and pattern recognition. Here, I mean complicated because it's using neural networks. Such patterns, usually, if you use a human expert-defined like stats model, cannot capture that. So it's, at the end of the day, it's still data-driven. It's just if you have the right data, if you have the right model, and then it would work. That's it.
Okay, and so are you saying like this is open to kind of like people who maybe are not data scientists, who don't have
Yes,
this?
exactly.
So would you still invite them to test drive the platform?
Yes, of course. This is actually what we are trying to do with some of our clients. Although they don't have data scientists, we try to encourage them to come to our platform, to update data themselves, and to be able to make the model better themselves, to see it's actually not that complicated.
Okay, makes sense. Well, I hope the beta goes well, and I hope you reach kind of like full release soon. Yichuan Zhang, CEO of Boltzbit.
Thank you much.
Thank you.